All right. Well, thank you, Curtis Mayfield, for getting us hyped this afternoon. And thank you all for joining me this afternoon and sharing your space and your time with me. I really, really appreciate you being here. And I'm just excited that you're here because this time is going to be about you. With a little bit of me sprinkled in here and there, but this time is really about me being here to empower you. So my name is Chanel Wheeler, and I've been designing professionally since 2003. I'm a creative professional, a graphic designer, an adjunct professor, an author, and I'm the founder of Awesome Design Academy, where I teach beginners graphic design to help them enhance the work they do. And also SW Graphic Design, that's my business where I empower growing businesses with brand solutions that create real impact. So I've worked as a designer in diverse settings over many years, Fortune 500 companies, nonprofits, startups, small businesses. And since my very first job in college 19 years ago, I have always, and I mean always, freelanced on the side, no matter what. So my journey to finally operating my business full time and taking that leap in 2020 intentionally from one of the fastest growing startups in Atlanta did not happen by happenstance. It definitely was a plan behind it, and I want to share that with you today. All right. So I want to be really, really clear about the intention of today. This masterclass is not about convincing you to quit your job or do something that does not align with your values or what you are looking or ready to do. You may be looking to maybe start your design business on the side, or maybe you want to go into it full time. But if nothing else, my purpose today is just to simply awaken something inside of you so that you can take action in this particular area of your life and stop sacrificing that dream. So all I'm asking you today is just to please open your mind to your own truth, to keep it real with yourself about what you really want. Please grab a pen and paper to write down some crucial thoughts that I'm going to ask you guys about today. And just allow yourself to be honest with what you actually really want. And if you feel so inclined to share at any time in the chat, like please feel free to do that. I would love to hear your feedback. If I'm saying something that resonates with you, give me an amen, hallelujah, hand clap, a thumbs up, whatever you want to do. But we're all here together to share this space because there's something that we all are having in the back of our minds that maybe we want to accomplish. So we're definitely going to cover the cost of an action, how to connect with your why, how to figure out where your creative sweet spot is, talking about an intentional plan of action. And yes, if we have time, I will definitely do a Q&A during the class. But if we don't get to that, I'm going to share my contact information with you, and you can feel free to fire away your questions, and I'll keep in contact with you and answer those questions either way. All right, so if that sounds good, let's just do a little test. Give me a thumbs up or just let me know that sounds good in the chat and we'll keep it rolling. Does that sound good? All right, appreciate it, Tosha. Good to see you. Good to see you too, Deanna. All right, Ketopia, let's keep it going. Thank you, Alexandria. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys a picture, all right? Now, this is an elevator bank. Okay, what's so special about an elevator bank? Well, basically, my last job before I went out in my own to start my graphic design business full time, it actually was great. Like it definitely wasn't perfect, but it was good. It was great people, great perks, lots of autonomy, lots of growth, lots of opportunities for me to add value to the company. But I honestly got to a point where every day when I packed up my things from my desk and I headed out to the elevator to leave, I would literally ask myself in my mind, like, how many more times am I going to see these doors close? Like, when will be the last time that I see these doors close on this company logo? And that might like sound like a strange question to ask, but really I think it was more of a metaphorical question that I was asking myself. I was really saying, when is this chapter of my life going to close and open up to something new? Uh, and really what that has to do with is I was experiencing what I want to call the pull, okay? And this is the kind of internal battle that I was having with the status quo, at the routine of life and what I was doing at the current time, and what I like to call the calling. And maybe you guys can relate to this as well. I don't know, but this is what I was feeling. So basically, the status quo is the existing situation right now. Maybe it's a job. Maybe if you've already attempted a graphic design or creative business in the past, maybe it's the old way that you were doing things. But in the status quo, there's comfort there because it's familiar. There is some type of stability and security, but there's also some other things to it as well. You may feel like maybe you're just existing, you're just doing this thing out of routine, but there's no excitement. Maybe it's unfulfilling. Maybe you feel stagnant, like you're not really going anywhere with that. And then the other side of that pull is the calling. And the calling is that thought, that lingering thought in the back of your mind, or maybe it's in the front of your mind, about what it is that you could be doing or should be doing, but something is holding you back from doing that. And in this calling, you feel there's a purpose there. It feels exciting. You feel like you'll be more living and doing what's in your purpose if you're on that side. But there are some unknowns, like it could be kind of scary because it's a new direction that you're not familiar with. And sometimes this calling could be something like starting your graphic design business or your creative business. So for me, the seed of a calling was planted a while back while I was in college. Actually, the seed was planted first when my roommate and I, we just needed to pay like some bills, like the light bill and our cell phone bills. So we started our little design business in college, just doing a little freelance here and there on the side on campus. And it was amazing to me because I was like, oh, wow, people will actually pay me to create things and I don't have to ask anyone's permission to do this. Like, this is something that I can just do. So that was a pretty cool thing, I thought, that really opened my mind. But I would say that first really strong pull that I had was really to do my own thing was really about maybe around 15 years ago. And I was sitting at my desk at my full-time job, at my first full-time job down in Atlanta. And I think I scribbled something in a notebook about teaching others graphic design. I don't know what I called it, Graphic Designers of America, something crazy like that. I really don't even remember. But I couldn't quite articulate the details of what it would be or could be at that time. But over time, my experience through the years working as a designer for these different jobs and places kind of helped to shape and make that calling a lot clearer and more meaningful. And really, that calling didn't fade away. It actually became stronger as I got deeper into my career because I felt like I was doing all the right things, but in the wrong direction. I was doing all the right things in the status quo side of the pull, but I was not doing them where my calling was. And so I would find myself staring out of the window and daydreaming about what my day would look like if I was actually doing what energized me. And am I the only person that's ever stared out the window and daydreamed? I don't think so, but this is something that I did quite often. And I would sneak away at lunchtime to work on my stuff, my freelance stuff, in the mornings after work. I felt like I was always sneaking away to do this stuff. I would smile and nod at the projects that were presented to me at work. And I would still do them with excellence, don't get me wrong. But inside, I would be thinking about how much energy I was putting into the status quo and how much energy I really wouldn't have to do the things that I actually really wanted to do. And this was like a constant battle that I was experiencing between choosing what I needed to do and what I wanted to do. But then at one point I had to ask myself, what if what I actually want to do is what I need to do? Good question to ask. So I want you to imagine what your day would look like if you were actually living out your daydream, whatever it is that you're thinking about when you stare out the window, or whatever it is when you're on a Zoom call in for a meeting at work, or whatever you're doing. What would that daydream look like? If you were operating more in a space of purpose, if you were energized, if you were helping people in a way that was meaningful to you, if you were creating impact, if you were really excited to wake up and do what it is that you do, what would that actually look like? Because I think a lot of times we know what we don't want, but how we actually taking the time to think about what it is that we do want. So if you feel comfortable, close your eyes and just imagine this. If you're driving or you're doing something important, don't close your eyes, please don't do that. But if you would, close your eyes just for a moment and just really think about that. Like, how would you start your day? Like, what would that look like? Like, what would you be doing? How would you feel? Would you spend more time with your family if you had more time? Would you spend more time traveling? What would your work schedule look like? How would you be creating with impact and more purpose? What type of people would you be working with? And how would that work that you're doing for them empower and impact them? Would you be at peace if you were doing whatever was in your daydream? Think about that. So while you're thinking about that, I want to give you some good news. The good news is that you are already equipped with what you need to actualize your daydreams. Believe it or not, you are already equipped with what you need. So you already have the power to create. And as a creative person, like, this is your superpower. Like, creating, that is what you do on a daily basis. You have already been doing this in your job. So you already have the ability to visually communicate, to solve problems, because we know that graphic design is visual communication for a particular audience. We know that we are using our minds and our hands to solve problems for others. We can take an idea and manifest that into reality. Like, that's a pretty serious type of skill. Like, that's pretty big. Everyone can't do that. And that's what you're already doing right now. You've already been doing that for your job. You've already worked with different projects and clients over time. You've already done these things. And so if you can do that for them, why can't those skills translate and transfer over to doing it for you? So now you just really need to have the confidence and the courage to step into the creator that you already are, because you're already doing this stuff, right? So the first step that I want us to take today is acknowledgement. The first step we need to know is, how are we going to stop sacrificing those creative dreams? And we need to acknowledge that. We got to really keep it real with ourselves. So I want you to write down, what is the cost of delaying your creative dreams? What is the cost of inaction? If you keep on delaying your calling to start your creative business, how will that affect you mentally? How would it affect you physically, financially, spiritually? Maybe it's that deep, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But what's the cost? Is it a high cost, not that high? Will it affect not only your life, but others as well? Take a few moments just to write down, it could be just a word or a couple words, what that cost of an action is for you. And if you feel inclined to so share it in the chat, please do that. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. So just take a few moments to write down, what is the cost of an action? What is it costing you each day to keep delaying what it is that you said you wanted to do or you've been thinking about doing? Depression, that's really real. Yeah, it's I don't think people realize like what that pull in your mind is, how it really kind of drives you nuts to really have this one thought over here, but then over there you have to do something else, you know. Infinite drifting and lack of purpose. Yeah, sometimes it's like it's hard to stay focused when you're not really doing what it is you want to do, right? And you can kind of do it for a while. We can all fake the fun, because I think everyone has to do it at some point. You know, we all have lives, we have bills to pay and things to take care of. But I think that sometimes we have to be willing to give ourselves the chance to take a chance on ourselves. Discipline, that's a great word, yeah. Achieving it late and even missing out on some opportunities, yes, this is the cost, yeah, of delaying those creative dreams. And you really got to keep it real with yourself. Like, and if you don't want to share, that's fine, it's for you, but you got to really be honest about what that is, because it's going to keep kind of eating at you every day if you don't really face how to get out of that. So let me tell you what the cost of my inaction was. I call it like delayed purpose. And it was in the form of stress, because I was always like battling the pull between the status quo and what I wanted to do. And I was feeling that for all those years. Ever since I wrote that scribble in my notebook at my first job, I was feeling, and it kept growing and growing. So that was kind of stressful. Anxiety. 12 years ago, I vowed that I would never, ever, and this is just my personal story, put my eggs in one basket again and solely rely on just one job or source of income. And this is because in 2010, I got laid off not once, but twice in the same year. So you can imagine that I pretty much had it with everyone at that point. And I was pretty angry, but I was like, I need to go ahead and think of how I can always be creating opportunities for myself, just in case this thing doesn't work out. Guilt was another cost of my inaction. I actually felt guilty because for me, the purpose and the calling was kind of a spiritual thing as well. I believe in God, and I feel like God was putting a purpose in my heart that I was not being obedient to. And so that really made me feel like I wasn't doing, like I was letting other feelings and factors get in the way of doing that. And then also, this is a term I just made up just now, reverse imposter syndrome. Like, I know that imposter syndrome at its definition is like the internal experience of believing that you're not as capable or adequate as others perceive you to be, which I have experienced that before as well, and continue sometimes to experience that now in some moments because I'm a human being. But I actually felt the opposite, like the other way around. Like I felt like I was actually more capable of doing more things than who I was showing up as. Like I was actually hiding or suppressing some of my own talents and qualities just to keep up with this status quo and to kind of be in this box that I had allowed myself to be in. And then also the cost of my inaction was just energy. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever worked for a startup before or a large corporation or any type of team where they're just demanding a lot out of you. It's very fast paced. That takes a lot of energy. And so as you get older and older, sometimes your energy dwindles just a little bit if you're not intentional about trying to maximize it. And so I was thinking like a lot of my energy is going towards this other thing when it could be going towards my purpose. And so that was my cost as well. And so this question that I have up here on the screen, it just kept popping up in my head. Like, how long are you going to keep delaying this? And now you might not be asking yourself like deep existential questions like I was. That's totally fine too. Might not be that deep. But for me, those moments of like staring out of the window and being distracted in a meeting or looking at the elevator banks, thinking about the doors closing, I was asking myself these questions. And so really figuring out what the cost of inaction is, that is the first step, I believe, in starting in a different direction, because you have to know what this is costing you if you don't make the decision. And is that cost too high to keep paying day after day? So after you've acknowledged that, now I want you to think more about your why. And I want you to write this down too. Why do you want to start your graphic design business? like an obvious part of your why might be how it's going to help you and benefit yourself. But I really think a greater thought you could have would be, how are you going to help others? Maybe this is helping others bring their ideas to life. Maybe you get really energized by that and you don't feel you have an opportunity to do that as much in your status quo right now. Maybe it's to solve bigger problems. Maybe it's to do visual brand transformation for audiences that matter to you the most. Maybe you're really passionate about, animals, or maybe you're passionate about certain world issues. Maybe you want to design more for those types of things. Maybe it's financial freedom that you want to have so that you can not only take care of yourself, but you can take care of your family and you can expand your opportunities to do other things that you have been looking forward to doing. Not to say that you're going to necessarily become a millionaire doing graphic design. You could, you might not, but maybe you want to be able to get on the path of diversifying your financial opportunities and creating some things for yourself. And maybe this is one of the vehicles that will help you get there. So for me personally, my why was, number one, because I'm a creator, a confidence, courageous creator. I always just want to create with purpose. Like, if this is a gift and a talent that I have, like, I want to be using it for some good things, for some purpose, and not just like for just any old project any day of the week. Like, I actually want to be making things that matter and making things that energize me and make me feel good about what I'm doing. I want to be able to empower others. So I love to see other people reach their greater potential. And I use design as my vehicle to help them get there through teaching them that. So I love to see other people just be empowered and just step into like who they are. And I always remember certain stories, like when I was teaching Photoshop at the library once, and I had this 70-something-year-old lady learning Photoshop. And I just thought that was awesome. Like, it's just never too late to start learning things. Or hearing a student in my design class just a couple days ago tell me, hey, this is really fun. Like, this is really cool. Like, that's cool that you can energize someone with a skill and to help them to be excited about how they can create for others as well. So I get energized by that. And then I just want to have some autonomy over my life. Like, I want to be able to help build towards financial freedom and operate my day the way I want to. And so this is the whys that fuel me. And the more that I understood my why, the greater urgency I had to actually really feel that. So think about that now and later. Like, try to think about, what is your why? Like, why do you actually want or need to do this? And then this is the fun part. Now we need to figure out, what is your creative sweet spot? So what is that? So your creative sweet spot is going to help you identify how you're going to uniquely help others. I also call this the C factor. But basically, this is an intersection between three things. So number one, it's your why. So it's like, remember, this is what we just talked about. This is the fuel that's going to keep your business engine going, even through the tough days and the peaks and valleys. You're going to remember, why am I doing this business in the first place? Even if your business evolves to other things or you end up doing something else, a lot of times that why is that underlying mission that kind of stays the same over time, or even may grow, but it's that foundation that you have for why you're doing this. Then you're going to think about all your skills and experiences. So the what, these are the things that you are actually good at. And you are good at things. You have to be able to acknowledge that you can highlight in your business. So obviously you're probably good at graphic design, but more specifically, maybe you're really good at branding, or maybe it's web design, or maybe it's UX design, or maybe you're really great at photography, or maybe it's typography. Maybe that's like a really strong skill of yours. And then there's other skills outside of design, like writing, or maybe you're really good at planning and organization. Maybe you're good at connecting people together, or speaking, or art. There's many talents that you may have, But remember, if you're going to create your business, like, shouldn't you be creating it in a way that you want to, like using the skills that you want to expand upon? Like, this is your time to create what you want, not what others want. So this is the time to pull out all those skills that maybe you've been suppressing or haven't been able to use as much at your job or wherever. And now you can put these things to good use. And then the third thing is you're going to figure out what problems you're going to solve for others. So what do people actually need that you can solve? What problems do you see out there in the world that you can help with your skills? Do people need better like visual identities for their brands? We already know the answer to that because we see a lot of good design out there in the world, but you see a lot of crazy stuff as well. There's lots of people and companies and teams and businesses that either don't have a great visual identity or they need to improve upon theirs or rebrand for whatever reason. Lots of opportunity out there in the world. Do people need creative inspiration? Do you feel compelled to teach what you know? Are there creative products that you could create to solve some specific problems? Is there a way you can empower people through your creativity in some type of way? Creating online content, what is that? What are those things that you can solve through your skills? So your sweet spot is going to help you bring focus to attract the right type of people to your business. Because again, if you're going to do this business, you might as well do it in a way that makes sense for you and in a way that it makes you feel energized. So you want to identify your C factor or that creative sweet spot. And then after you've acknowledged the cost of an action, your why, and you're tapped into your sweet spot, then you've got to get to work. This is the part where you got to actually do something and implement a plan of action. Because what is a plan of action? What is a plan like without intention or action? It's basically like a wish. So now we actually have to get into the action part, which is sometimes the part where we stop because we're like, what do we do next? But I want to invite you to stop sacrificing your creative dreams for the status quo and to actually take action. And so you have to first make a decision. You have to decide. So that's a mindset thing first. And then you have to take intentional action. You have to actually do, you have to have movement, intentional movement toward what it is that you want. So let's imagine that you had two options. Now, we know we probably usually have more than that. Let's just imagine we just have two if we're thinking about this scenario. So if we don't take action on this, we can just have what we've been having, which is the old way. I'll just continue to ignore the pull towards my potential. I'll continue to pay the cost for sacrificing my dreams. That's fine. I'll continue to wonder, what if? And you might feel some type of resentment or regret or fear of missing out towards yourself. Like you just might be like, man, I wish I would have done that when the opportunity was present for me to do that. We know that's not a good feeling. So if you do take action, what could that look like? Well, you can step into your confident, courageous self. And courage isn't necessarily the absence of fear. It's just saying, I'm going to go ahead and move forward anyway, because I know this is what I need to do. You are going to create with purpose, excitement, and I want you to create with profit as well. Because if you're doing business, then obviously there's the money aspect. And if not, then it'll just be a hobby. But if you want to be in business, then you want to make profits. So that's a part two. You want to no longer ask like, what if? Because you've already overcome that fear or hesitation of starting. And then you're going to attract the people who you want to serve because you know where your creative sweet spot is, and you're going to attract the people that need what you have. So again, what is that intentional plan of action? How are we going to get to that point? Well, again, the first thing is we need to know the creative why. This is the driving force that fuels your purpose behind you starting and maintaining your design business. So you can even think about this as like your personal mission statement to be your guiding light and to get you through all the different things that may happen as that you might face as a business owner. Then we're going to, oops, almost missed one. Then we're going to explore our creative sweet spot. So again, we're going to determine the intersection between our why, our gifts, and our talents, the things that you actually enjoy. So you don't want to be doing anything that you really don't want to do anymore. You want to do things that you enjoy and that you can thrive in. And you want to think about the problems that you're going to solve. And you can begin starting to craft your business around these solutions that you're going to offer. That's not only going to energize you, but energize the people that you are working with. So your why and your sweet spot. And then you're going to explore your ideal client profile, right? So the great thing about being an experienced designer is that you've already worked with all different types of clients and projects. You've done this on your job. You've done this with freelance, maybe other business ventures that you work with. But you can reflect and think about the types of clients and customers that have energized you. And I know you can think about the ones that drained you. Like, I'm sure you can think about those people right now and you're like, I don't ever want to work with those type of people again. So think about the ones that actually challenged you in a good way, the ones that made you feel like you were creating an impact. And just think about the type of people that you really enjoyed helping and that still might need your help today. So this is where you're going to start doing your research in the market and looking at the types of clients that you want to serve and really understanding what their problems are. So you want to make sure that you're actually going to offer something that they actually need. So this is the part where you need to do some market research to make sure that your client is aligned with what problems you can solve. So for example, if your client, potential client or ideal client are maybe like early stage startups that need branding, you want to understand their pain points. You want to understand that maybe they have a limited budget at this time, or maybe a limited understanding of why they need graphic design and consistent branding, or why they're going to need it eventually if they want to grow their business. And you're going to understand how you might approach those types of clients with education to let them know why they need this, with empathy, and also case studies or portfolio examples of your work to show them why you are the expert and why they need your expertise. And so the reality is everyone can't be your client, and you actually shouldn't want everyone to be your client. Can anybody tell me the reason why everybody can't be your client? Tell me in the chat if you know why everyone cannot be your client. Would love to hear. What is the reason why everyone can't be your client? Absolutely, everyone doesn't align with your purpose. Any other reasons why you think? While you're thinking about that, I know from experience that if you cast your net too wide and it's going to really take yourself further and further away from that sweet spot that you established. So you're going to try to end up doing everything for everybody, and that is pretty stressful. You're going to end up working with people, like she says in the chat, that don't align with your purpose and what you do. And eventually you're going to create a whole new status quo for yourself that is unfocused and unintentional. So you definitely don't want to do that. And so it's good to be focused on who your ideal client is, because these are the people that you want to work with, that want to work with you. These are people who respect your expertise. They respect your pricing. They understand it. They understand you. They get you. And that means that at some point, you may have to say no to people if they don't align with that. And that could be a scary thing because we don't want to have FOMO, fear of missing out. But that doesn't mean that we have to work with every single person, because really working with that small time of discomfort when you have to say no is a lot better than the long-term discomfort of working with the wrong client and then experiencing that stress over a long period of time, because now you're working with people that don't align with you. So that's something you have to learn, of course, over time. And I think I'm still learning that too, but make sure you have your ideal client profile so that you know what types of people you best work with. All right. Now, this is definitely a big one. Financial clarity. This was a huge step for me. So in my case, I actually made a plan to leave my job because I wanted to do my design business full time. And if you're thinking about that too, in most cases, you're probably thinking about finances and how your creative business is going to sustain you in that way. And so one of the reasons why I delayed so long in making my decision to go full time in my business is because I had financial uncertainty. I didn't know how much I needed to make and how much it was going to cost me to live month to month. I remember someone asked me, like, when I was kind of talking about it and teetering on the idea, like, what's your runway? And I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, what are you talking about runway? Like, what's your survival plan? How many months do you have saved up? Just in case you need to live off of that if you have a rough time or things don't work the way you want them to, or your cushion. And I really honestly hadn't thought about that. So I needed to have more clarity about the financial area. But the moment I got more financial clarity about not only what I needed to do to survive, so actually understanding my own situation, my own month-to-month expenses and things like that, and then also what I could do to thrive, so not just to make that number, but to exceed it, then the plan became much clearer. So I was able to work towards saving an amount of money that I felt was a good 6 to 8 month cushion to live on, if necessary, once I left my job. Now, of course, for each person, this cushion is different. It may be longer, it may be more, it may be shorter. The plan is different for each person. That's totally fine, but this is what worked for me. So from that point on, I have been much more aware of what money is going out and what needs to come in order for me to financially sustain my lifestyle and responsibilities. And not only do I plan for the month, but now I can plan 2 to 3 months ahead with initiatives and prospective client work to make sure that I hit those minimum goals. So the question is, do you know how much your life costs per month? Have you actually sat down and calculated that? Added up all the expenses, subscriptions, costs, rent, mortgage, all that stuff? Have you actually added that up? And do you know how much profit that you want to make? So not just clearing those expenses, but do you actually want to exceed that number and make a profit? Does the talking about the money part scare you? If so, this could be a mental roadblock that you have to face and come head on with if you really truly want your business to eventually grow and be profitable, because this part is something that you're going to have to face. And I don't want it to scare you. I want it to be something that you know that you can attract and that you can do. So gaining financial clarity is really, really important step in creating your design business. Now, once you have that financial clarity and you know who your ideal client is and you understand your creative sweet spot, now you can tailor an offer that makes sense, or offers that make sense for you and your business goals and your personal financial goals. So this is the really, really exciting part, because now you're not only going to determine what services you're going to offer. And remember, these are ones that energize and excite you, not just services that you feel like you just have to do, but ones that you want to do. And you can create pricing for these services. So essentially, you're kind of like creating your business model. So what I want to tell you is that, did you know your graphic design business can be more than just doing client work? Did you know that? You can sell creative products like design templates or website templates. You can create unique vector assets. You can create fonts if typography is your thing, workbooks. If you're into the new technology, NFTs, if you're going in that space, you can teach what you know and create classes and courses. You can make short or long form content with ebooks to educate people, or you can do them for your clients. You can do a t-shirt line. You can do branded products. You can do stock photography. You can create what it is that you want because you are in control. You are the confident, courageous creator, and you're not just limited to one type of thing. You have the power to create, and you can't forget that that is the power that you have. So another way to think about this is if you're not really quite sure what it is that you want to offer in your design business, it's also helpful to think about what you don't want to do. So think about all the things that you may be doing at your job right now that you just roll your eyes at when you get that email like, oh, or, you know, it just pains you to just even do another PowerPoint or another whatever it is that you don't really care to do. You can eliminate those things in your business, or you can outsource them to someone else if you want to. But again, remember, this is the business that you are creating for yourself. So you don't have to feel forced to put yourself in a status quo that you're already in with maybe your current job or situation. So this is the opportunity to create the way that you want to, in a way that really shines, your abilities and your talents shine through. You can do the things that you are energized by doing. So those are the services. But then there's the pricing of the services. And I think that that's important as well. And you're going to be able, once you know what those services are that you're going to offer, then you can start matching the price to that to figure out how you're going to hit those monthly goals and how you can make sure that you are getting the value that you deserve as an experienced designer. Now, I want to show you guys some books. Tell me if you guys have ever read or seen these books. So here's the first one, The Psychology of Graphic Design Pricing by Michael Jonda. Has anyone ever seen or read these books, this book? Let me know in the chat. Yes, this book right here is the truth. I actually was able to read through that book in probably like a day or so and immediately start implementing some of the strategies in the book to raise my prices and to format my quotes and invoices in a way that helped me to get better paying clients, helped me to have less back and forth between clients, sure, who, this will be recording and I'll send this information as well in a follow-up. But this book right here is the truth. I actually went to Amazon and saw that I had purchased this book 3 times, not because I had 3 of my own copies, but I purchased one for myself and then 2 more for designers that were working for me at the time and another one for a friend. So I really wouldn't promote it if I didn't think that, I don't have any partnerships with this person either, but I just think it's just such a great book to actually implement action into your design pricing, because that's always kind of been an area where I think creatives have struggled as far as trying to figure out how do I price my work based on my experience. Should I do hourly or should I do a flat rate based on the client? Like, how should I structure my my pricing? And so that is a really great book. Another awesome book is The Graphic Artist Guild Pricing and Ethical Guidelines. So this is actually an older edition, but there's one more newer edition that's available right now. But this book right here as well has been a really great help to me, because when I was faced with new opportunities, when I could actually, yeah, this is a really thick book. It's like a Bible or something. And when I was faced with some greater opportunities to really design at a higher level, I felt very nervous because I was like, well, how much am I supposed to charge for this? Like, I don't know. And sometimes you feel like you're guessing, but there's actually some standards that this book has. Yes, the name of the book is the Graphic Artists Guild Pricing and Ethical Guidelines Handbook. And again, I'm going to email you all these links to these books afterwards. So if you miss it, no worries. And you also get this recording as well. But it has in there lots of different types of design projects and work, and what the national standard is for different projects. If you were doing, say, a branding project, or you were doing a brochure, or you were doing a website, it has some standards in here based on, local, national, or worldwide clients that you may have. And you can kind of look at that and see where you are with this standard. And it can be a little scary because some of the prices may make you realize that you've been severely undercharging, or maybe you don't feel comfortable charging that amount yet. Maybe you feel like you have some more work to do, or you need some more experience, but it is good to see what that standard is so that you can see how far off you are from there and see if that is something that will motivate you to increase your pricing if you choose to do so. So there are books like this and many more resources that help us to create our offers and not just guess about what we're doing, but really find out what works. And then, of course, if that sticks, we can definitely see the results with our clients, and we can see that it's working, and we can continue to improve upon that as we grow our skills. As the years go by, we can see how we can improve upon not only our skills, but also raise those prices periodically to match the new things that we've learned and new skills that we've added to ourselves as we continue to grow as designers and creatives. So you're going to be able to create that irresistible offer to offer all the things that you will be serving to others, and that hits that creative sweet spot that really optimizes your skills. All right, and then this is the part where we got to optimize. So this is the part where we're going to take all of our business plans and put them into action. So you're going to optimize that C factor, and being that creative, confident, courageous creator that you are, you're going to do all the design things that you need to do to start promoting your new focused and irresistible services. So this includes what I call the CREATE method, things like C, creating relationships through networking. So that means getting to talk to people through LinkedIn and different types of design groups or things like that. Client relationships, networking in person or online, wherever that is. You got to create those relationships to keep it going. R, rebranding. Maybe you need to rebrand or rebuild or update your website or your creative portfolio to now reflect the services that you are going to offer. Then E, you got to be able to build out that email list. Email marketing is not dead. And if Facebook or whatever, Instagram may go down, you're always going to have that email list that you have personally that you can contact your clients or your customers and send them the information or the offers or the promotions that you need to send them to keep them in your community and keep them informed about what you're doing. So that email list is definitely not dead. And that's a big thing that you're definitely going to need. Then you can A, attract your ideal client through creating content. Creating content, sometimes that seems like a scary thing, but you've got to do it in some ways and be consistent with it, whether it's once a week or every day or whatever it is that you can handle or you can grow to, that introduces who you are to the world and educates them, your audience, on what you do. You give them tips, you give them good value, and you let them know what it is that you offer. And T, you're going to tell your personal stories. People need to know who you are so that they can start to build trust with you. And so people don't want to just engage with the business or the brand. Like, they want to engage with the person behind it. They want to know that you're someone they can work with. They want to know your personality or something about you. And so you have to be able to open up to your personal stories so that they can empathize with you, they can relate to you, and they can know that this is a person that I want to work with. And then E, you're going to continue to engage in these creative spaces, spaces where your ideal clients are, spaces where other business-minded people like you are, other entrepreneurs or business owners or freelancers or other creatives. Like, you need to have that community where you can continue to talk to people who are doing what it is that you are doing or want to do, so that you don't feel alone like in this journey. Because sometimes doing business stuff, it can be a lot. It can be frustrating. It could be maybe you feel a little lonely sometimes. It could be taxing. Maybe you have a question, but you need to be able to have people that you can tap into to help you through that journey. So you have to continue engaging with different people to keep it going. And this is the part that I know a lot of creators struggle with, because it's easy to create, but the marketing part, like, man, that's a lot, right? But at least I know that I feel that way for myself. But I know that it needs to be done, and not just in the beginning, not just sometimes, but consistently throughout the life of your business in order to generate the level of success that you want to have. So this is a continuous process, this creation process that you will do to keep your business going. And then finally, when you have clarity on why you created this business, your unique contribution to the world through your seed factor, your creative sweet spot, the ideal client that you want to target, your financial clarity, the services that you'll be offering and for how much, and you know what marketing activities you need to be engaging with, this all needs to come together in some kind of actionable blueprint or plan. Not a fluffy plan, not a wish, not something that you scribble on a piece of notebook paper and you put in a drawer somewhere never to look at again. No, this needs to be an actionable plan. That means you're actually really going to take action. You're actually really going to do something. So you don't have to guess, like, what do I do next? It's actually mapped out for you. And the goals have to be SMART. I'm sure you guys have heard of the SMART goals. They gotta be specific, they gotta be measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So for example, one of my SMART goals was to take the leap from my 9-to-5 to doing my creative businesses full time, was to save money, that runway that I was talking about before I left. And I made a goal to specifically save a certain amount of money from my paycheck each month that would add up to the specific amount that I needed to feel comfortable making that leap. And so it was definitely measurable, because I could look at my bank account and see the progress and see if I hit the number or not. As a matter of fact, I actually renamed one of my savings account Freedom. I actually named it Freedom, so that every time I put money in there, I knew exactly what this money was going to be reserved for. It was freedom to start my creative business and to start realizing that creative dream. So the goal was attainable because I was putting the money away, and it was feeling like a sacrifice, but not so much where I wasn't able to sustain my financial responsibilities at the time. And it definitely was relevant, of course, because me saving this money was directly tied to the exit date that I would feel comfortable with having. And it was time-based. So I made my birthday, which is September 16th, just in case you all want to send some gifts on that day, got some time. But I call that my liberation date. And that was about 10 months from when I first made the decision in my mind to leave. So I gave myself plenty of time to attain the goal. So it was a SMART goal because it was specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. All right, Alexandria, okay, Virgo's in the house, that's right. So you have to do the same thing and make an actionable blueprint that's going to help you to take action. It can't be too fluffy or too vague that you don't know what to do next. And so all of these steps right here laid out are the steps I took to create my master plan of action. And once I made it to the other side of my goal, I decided that I wanted to help others attain the same thing if they so choose to do that. But instead of all my random little papers and scribbles and spreadsheets, I want to be able to share more organized templates and worksheets and activities to walk you through each step so that you can create your plan of action and so that you can kickstart your graphic design business too. Because the whole idea is to kickstart, it's to start. Of course, as time goes on, things may change along the way, but you have to be able to start to get into the game. So sometimes you just may need a little bit of help and someone to walk you through those steps to get started. So again, I want to invite you to stop sacrificing your creative dreams for the status quo and to just answer that pull that is calling you to something new. And my little quote that I say is, the sidelines are a great place to watch the game, but not when the game is your life. You can't be on the sidelines too long of your own life. All right. So basically, I want to invite you to begin executing those intentional action steps so that you can kickstart your design business. And if you want help, personalized help creating an actionable plan for you, I'm inviting you to book a clarity call to simply have a conversation. That's it. Just to see if we will be a good match to work together and make that plan happen. Any information that's beneficial for contract creating. Yes, I can share that. I will share some of that with you as well in the email follow-up for sure. And definitely in this program, this 8-week program, I'll be working with you hand in hand to figure out these details that you will implement in your business. So because our work together will be very focused, very personalized, very tailored toward your specific goals, I'll only be accepting 4 confident, courageous creators for this cohort, because I want to make sure that we are focused in and we can really devote that energy to those people who are really serious about that. And if you book the clarity call in the next 72 hours, you can definitely receive this founder's rate. So I'll put this link in the chat if you're interested, but if not, there's no pressure at all, just leaving this out there for you. Again, you may have some concerns or objections about why you can't start your creative business and what may go wrong and all these kinds of things. I'm going to send you guys a resource answering these questions so that you can know that there are answers on the other side of this and that this is possible for you if you want it to be. So if nothing else today, I want you to leave here being very clear about the cost of an action and the price of an action, and is that worth paying every day for you? So whether you decide to work with me or you don't, someone else, or just figure it out on your own, it's all good, it's up to you. But I just truly hope that you find a support system as you embark on your journey to create a business that's not only going to benefit you, but it's going to empower others as well. And of course, my door is always open. If you have any questions or need some support on your journey, just send me an email. And I promise you I'm a real person. I will answer the email either way, whether we work together or not. So I want to thank you guys for being here, for sharing your time with me. Thank you so much. And please stay in contact if you would like. And feel free to click that link if you want to book some time for a clarity call to see if we can work together. But continue to stay awesome. And remember that you are already a confident, courageous creator. So just go ahead and go out there and be that. You're already that. So just do it. All right. Well, you guys have a great rest of the afternoon. And I will talk to you soon, hopefully. Take care.